Adversity, bring it. The struggle, we welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 119. I am in the booth, dramatic pause, with my brothers, Michael the Show Pirelli, Claudio the Voice Valenzuela, and I am Dave the Body Regina. It's a gloomy day out here in New York, right? There's been a couple of gloomy days, but today we're going to talk about business practices in 2022, right? And because I think as time goes on, business develops. You know, Mike and I both are in two different industries, two different careers, but we do share a lot of the same mindset stuff. So I think it's going to be a great conversation there. But before we do that, we like to always just catch up and, see what's going on. So Michael the Show Pirelli, how the hell are you, my brother?
I'm a runner. I'll jump right into it. I'm a runner these days.
I'm a runner.
Really enjoying it. Lower back still hurts.
Are you running from life or are you running like
that's part of it. It's part of it. Running away from two kids. No, everything's good. We got some big things in the works. Can't talk about it publicly yet, like I said last episode, but hopefully in the next week or two.
Okay.
Some big
I look
life things. There's always big life things, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And then when it seems to get slow for a minute, it's just like bang.
Yeah. But then
right?
you ever have that feeling of like, is my email down? Like,
right.
Is my phone not working? Do I not have cellular service?
Yeah.
You don't even get to relax because you're constantly checking because you're like, what's going on? Why is it slow today?
I have huge business news.
Ooh.
Huge business news. Big announcement.
It's going to be big.
It's huge.
Like the
Huge.
body big?
So,
Like
as most of you know, if you've seen, we've spoke about it before. I really enjoy the lake by my house. If you don't know, I live on the lake, right?
You
I
found
spend
the
a lot-
Loch Ness Monster
I
in
spend
there.
a lot of time at the lake. So we've joked in the past and we've said, oh, Dave, you're going to be the president of the lake. So I was officially offered the vice president role.
Who's the prez?
This guy who's been there. He's pretty good too.
We like him?
Yeah, he's good. He represents us the right
You
way.
hit me with a yeah.
But I
don't know about that.
had an official offer to become the vice president of the Mohegan Lake Beach District, and I declined the offer.
You were like president or nothing.
I declined the offer just because at this time I just really can't commit at that level, but I will be serving on the board. I forget which district number I am, but I'm the representative of Lakeshore Drive and Christine Avenue.
Okay.
Moving forward into 2023.
Does that come with a jacket, a bomber jacket with a little?
With a little, yeah. It's got my name on it. It's gonna say Representative District 6, Mohegan Lake Beach District.
You're gonna wear it when you walk the dog.
Yeah, exactly. But then on professional news, just want to shout out the team. Our official team, we were very successful in securing a while ago on the podcast. I think I talked about it's a commercial real estate deal that was going on within the town that they pulled community resources into, right? And it was a big box wholesale, BJ's to be exact. But we officially
Never been
Never been to BJ's?
No, I sat in the car. Remember?
Oh,
Dana ran in.
But in our town,
Isn't that funny?
in our town. Oh, wait. I just got
Someone
that. But you were
just
watching the baby, though. You were watching the baby.
Was I?
You were on baby duty.
Was
the
the baby
were
in the
car?
The baby was in the car.
Yeah, there you go.
Saved me.
You know what I'm saying?
But I do that. Like Dana's like, I'm gonna run in, and then I'm like, so she'll go to like a liquor store. I told you this, right?
Yep, yeah.
And she always comes out, but someone always helps her
Yes.
and acts like there's no husband there.
Yes.
And then I'm sitting in the front, like sending a text.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, all good. So no, it's official that business deal has gone through. BJ's will be opening. So in the town that I work in, we were looking for a specific, company to come in there into this real estate space, which is a very large space. So it's the biggest deal since 1996 with guaranteed money. This is why it's big for me, coming back into the community.
That's
right.
That's huge.
Through
It's
tax
a lot
revenue.
of money.
Through tax revenue.
Jobs.
Over $80-something million. But yes.
How much?
Over $80-something million.
It's pretty incredible.
It was a lot. And
You're
it happened
moving
to
markets,
be. It happened to be. Well, that's the thing. So almost like a contingency was in this deal that they brought the commissioner of my department and myself in to say, well, how can we really benefit off of this? And it was pretty much the first time that something like this has been done, with guaranteed money circling back from the tax revenue dollars that come in from this company. We're going to circle right back into our community, right? Which is,
That's ideal.
It doesn't get better, and it looks great. Let's be honest, it looks great on BJ's for being able to, partner with the town and obviously contribute. But it was just a cool thing to watch from start to finish. We have guaranteed jobs as well, just like you mentioned. There's a certain percentage of jobs that have to be given to community residents.
Amazing,
which is awesome. And they got really good rotisserie chickens, so I'm excited to go on lunch and grab myself a little rotis
all day. I do love a good rotisserie chicken,
right?
It's very efficient.
It's incredible.
Very efficient.
It is. And then I am watching, dramatic pause, it's not a movie. I'm not a movie guy. I'm watching a documentary. Came out a while ago on Derek Jeter.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jeffrey Dahmer.
It's called Jeffrey Dahmer. That dude's sick. I'll talk about that.
I'm not watching it.
Okay.
No,
Backtrack.
back to Jeter.
Back to Jeter. Okay, I'll go Jeter. Then
Let's
I'll go
not
Dahmer.
get dark. We don't want to get dark.
No. So this documentary, I'm up to episode 4 now.
First off, let's get more current, all right? Like, this came out years ago.
I think so.
Like, let's get going here. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to watch a good doc, watch it when it's relevant.
When it comes out.
Because now people are watching this and they're like, when was that documentary come out?
Well, if you didn't see The Captain, and I think a lot of people have not, it is up there with the Michael Jordan documentary.
It's good.
Literally.
Yeah, it's really
what
good.
I didn't know is how much of an influence, and this is why it's relevant to me, how much of an influence his parents had on his entire life. With Mike, like Michael Jordan, sorry, I refer to you as Mike, but
Well, if you think about it, a lot of the best people in the world are named Mike.
That's
Michael
true.
Jordan, Mike Tyson.
Oh, how many Davids are
What
there?
else, Mike?
There's a lot of
David
Davids.
and Goliath.
Oh, well, that's
The
me.
guy with the rock.
Oh my God!
But he's little.
I went to the gym the other day, and there was a new guy at the desk. He goes, "Your name shouldn't be David; it should be Goliath."
Oh,
I was like,
got
"Wow,
him.
bro!"
That's a pretty good one.
I was like, "I love you," but anyway, I just find it so inspiring, and just an amazing story to see. One, how great he was. Obviously, I'm in the age bracket to see his entire career from start to finish, from 96 or 95 to 2014, I think it was. So I watched him just like I watched Kobe the entire career. But throughout the years, you don't realize the behind the scenes stuff, and the influence that his parents had on him just proves to me of the investment that we need to be making in our own children, whether it's your biological child, whether it's your stepchild, whether it's the children at your job, the influence that adults have on the kids that they're around are just tremendous. And I think his parents did a phenomenal job at keeping him humble. Everybody said from the start, when you heard Derek Jeter speak at 19 years old, he was like a seasoned veteran.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all because of the mindset that that his parents had kind of instilled in him. So it's a great documentary. Check it out. I'm sure you guys have already seen it, so I'll go F myself. All right.
That was a good little turnaround there.
Right? Did you see it though? Did you watch it?
I enjoyed it. I'm not a huge baseball guy. I will watch baseball, but it's pretty boring. The big takeaway I got from it was that he didn't speak too much. He said less. Less is more. He wanted to keep a lot of things internal. He was a good leader. I liked his approach and when I always watch those, I'm like, oh, what can I steal? Like, this is good stuff. And and then just effort. There was always effort there. He was very grounded. And to your point, he's very, very mature. He had the big picture in his head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm going to think about how many athletes in New York City have survived New York City.
Correct. That's
Not
like
many.
A recipe for
disaster. People get eaten up and
Right.
spit out. But
And
I think it's because he didn't play into a lot of stuff.
Right.
He kind of
and they didn't have cell phones back in the day. And he even said, he did say, he made
Timing's
a comment.
everything.
He said, listen, if there were cell phones around, my career would have been 3 years. I did hear something from this one chick that's in the circle of friends that she was invited to a Derek Jeter party a couple years ago, and she had to sign an NDA. Yeah. So maybe that's how his career was so good. Right?
But you would think there'd be a leak,
right?
At some point. But I guess
you know what else? I didn't know, and I get it. Like him and A-Rod, they came up together, and they were great looking guys, and both bachelors and extremely talented when it came to baseball.
A lot of similarities, no?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Between you
Jeter?
and I,
I'm Jeter.
Oh, I thought.
Are you
and I'm A-Rod. All right, yeah, that could be.
I mean, A-Rod's a big dude.
But so the I didn't realize how close they were the entire time. I loved to see how tight they were, but I also did not like. I don't know if I agreed with how Jeter cut him off.
I don't know how. So here's the thing with docs. We were talking about before we started recording how you can't trust like the food industry, and there's always an agenda.
Right.
So when I watch a doc now, I'm always a little skeptical. I'm like, what's the agenda here? They're trying to make Jeter look good.
Right.
If I was what's his name, I'd be pissed.
Who, A-Rod?
They made him look pretty
But
bad.
this is, I believe, Jeter had a lot to do with this one. I think he produced it. It wasn't like somebody.
There you go. I didn't know
I mean,
that.
obviously,
Of course.
but he
Jeter
didn't.
produced it.
But he had A-Rod in it.
No, he was.
Yeah.
And
But he didn't make A-Rod look.
He didn't bash him.
No, he didn't bash him.
just,
But
he
he
didn't
made
make him
it
look
very
great.
clear that in their 20s,
from his perspective,
after
he
the
just
second
told.
time that A-Rod spoke, not poorly on Jeter, but he basically made a comment, and he said today that A-Rod does stand by this comment. He said, you never came into Yankee Stadium or played the Yankees and worried about Derek Jeter beating you, right? And Derek took that like, yo, I would never say that about my friend, and basically cut him off for that comment. But to A-Rod's point, he was like, you guys had Tino Martinez, you had Paul O'Neill, you had Jorge Posada, you had Mariano
It was out of
Rivera.
context.
So it was the context, right? But this guy basically got rich off of this story, the writer, and created this whole, wave of turmoil that, turned into like a lifetime of shit for these guys. They're still obviously very friendly, but like for Jeter, he shut it down. He shut down the closeness of their friendship.
One of the biggest things from Doc is his sense of loyalty, and this
Yes.
is probably where that whole breakdown for him was.
Yep.
He's such a loyal person that and one of those things
Broke
that's
his heart.
what yeah,
Killed
right,
him.
right.
Killed him. Literally killed him.
See, I don't think I'd be able to be a professional athlete, mostly because I'm not skilled.
Your body, you look like one.
I got a body's getting there.
Body's
Maybe a
there.
boxer.
You know what
Maybe
I
a
mean?
boxer. Influencing boxing, I'll do. But like the post game interview after you lose, I'm not a good loser.
Yeah.
So like I would say something bad and be like canceled immediately.
I'm terrible when it comes to losing. But yeah, so that was that. And
I know.
Oh,
I know.
What other movies have you seen? You seen The Godfather recently or something?
A Bronx Tale,
Bronx Tale. It's a good
8
one.
Mile, Titanic, Fire,
Titanic
Fire
I think,
flicks,
is the worst movie of all
Fire.
time.
What?
Titanic is so long.
It's.
These people are just floating around like hop on a board.
Are you
don't have to drown. You know?
Are you serious, bro?
It's a terrible movie.
The Titanic is literally my favorite movie of all time.
Terrible movie.
Vote, please.
Titanic's a brutal movie.
Talk to my boy.
I'm bad because like if a movie's older, I won't even give it a chance. I'm like, I'm not watching this.
Oh, so what? You're only into new stuff these days? I asked Mike a question about my iPad, and he's like, "All right, technological Dave." I'm sorry, I'm a little. I don't.
Well,
know
the way
how-
you hold stuff,
But I don't know how to.
like you're 80.
You know
what I'm saying? Like
you know
the way
on the
he
iPad,
holds
all
it,
I
like. You
all
know
I-
how you hold it like you're nearsighted or far, whatever it is? That's how you hold stuff.
No,
like a Neanderthal.
no, I'm not a Neandy. But all I wanted to do was I take notes, right? And I wanted to remove the keyboard from the actual screen. I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, grow up.
You know, so this is rough, man. And speaking of losing, let's be honest here. Claudio, the voice Valenzuela.
This is how you know he's bad because now he's gonna
What
not
is
only
it?
rehash it, but he's gonna go hard.
So
No,
this
this is good.
This
Go
is
ahead.
great.
This is gonna get cut anyways. Go ahead.
He's a very mediocre bowler.
Oh, you
Mediocre,
played bowling?
mediocre
Played
at
bowling.
best.
You bowled?
So today, like I said, we're going to talk about like business practices in 2022. I took the entire team, my direct team of about 22 of us, CV, something like that, which are basically the guys that run the show.
Thanks for
Right?
the invite.
They're the big
Appreciate it.
supervisors. Thanks for the invite. No, you missed out, man.
Thanks,
you,
man. Appreciate
you
it.
weren't there. So basically, the guys that do the groundwork for the commissioner and myself to represent the town's programs and services, right? So these guys are the supervisors in charge. So we took them and we did a professional development day, which was awesome. But the fun side of things was a little bowling. You know, maybe some food, some tacos, some drinks. You know, some nice music in the atmosphere.
Hold my hand.
You know what I'm
The
saying?
Spirit, the Holy
right? You know what I'm saying?
Spirit's
The
coming into it. Keep
tacos, the
going.
drinks, right? You know
Keep
what I'm
going.
saying? The Holy Spirit.
Dude, you just described like some nice tacos, some margs, and just like a casual. Is there anything better?
No, well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, sorry.
But then the competition kind of sets in, and
Take
of
out the
course
bowling.
we play. Yeah, you know, I'm a competitive guy. I'm like, listen, whichever team wins gets a free day off in October, right?
I like it. You as a freakishly good bowler is a great storyline. Like,
I'm
that's
not
very
a freakish,
funny.
not a free. I'm mediocre. I'm
Okay.
you know a 150 bowler.
Oh, that's exceptional.
That's
in my
not
book.
too. He's pretty.
That's
good.
pretty
I mean,
good.
granted, within the group.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's a bowler. He was at the top.
What's the heaviest ball you can throw that's legal?
14
I would be throwing
or 16.
You'd be probably bringing your 22-pound ball.
just knock.
He
him
was
all over
doing
with the whip.
fastballs down the thing.
Yeah.
They weren't even
See,
touching. They weren't even touching the lane.
I don't.
I would, literally,
Yeah,
I was
no
bowling him,
finesse.
looking at CV, literally putting my
Doing
hand
that.
up, and it was just like, dong.
Bowling is a lot of fun.
It
Pins
was.
on the other lanes were falling when he was bowling.
I haven't bowled in a long time. That's
Well,
actually
so that's the
pretty
thing.
good.
I probably haven't bowled in 5 years. I'm sure the same for CV, but so CV's team is coming out strong. We did basically 2.5 games, pretty much, right? But
I'm gonna let you rock, and then I'm gonna say my truth.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I like this.
Two
This is
full
good.
games.
And we'll match
And
them up.
I'm curious, right? I want to hear. So his team is, I mean, they were good, man. Like and bowling is just a fair sport. Like nobody's really, a professional bowler that we knew of.
I tried to distract
So
people.
they split up the teams, and his team kind of came out on top, right? And they're winning, and I'm seeing them, and the points are going up and up and up. But I'm like, damn, we're gonna catch them. And in my heart, I was really like trying to catch them, but I also knew that at some point it was kind of toast. So then I turned to CV to try to throw him off his game.
Yeah.
So I started yapping at him, and I saw the first score. I think after 10 what's it called? 10 not rounds, but frames. 10 frames. I think he totaled 96 points.
He's a bowler. Oh, Jesus.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Whoa.
So the one target that I was coming after, because I couldn't talk anything about the team because they were kicking my ass.
You talk
right?
about CV.
I was talking about CV.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can tell that he was hearing me a little bit, but he was focused on the team, and he kept saying, "Listen, this is a team game. I'm about this. This is my team. What's your score?" Talking back as the team, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. There's no I in team, but there is an I in win. But mind you, I'm losing anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm still bowling
Talking.
really good. I'm just talking though.
He's draining, isn't he? When you
So
play with
so
him
I
and stuff? Oh my
dude,
God, he is draining.
and then it got to a point that my man's throwing gutter balls, and I'm like, nah, I'm intentionally not even looking sometimes. Once he threw the gutter, I would look away because I'm like, damn, I don't want to really make him feel bad, whatever. He's a competitive guy as well. So the true story is I knew I was getting my ass kicked, so I was already talking junk, right? So I had to keep talking junk. So I came after him because I saw that he didn't break 100. So I kept targeting that. And I was like, yo, your score is what, 87 after 6 frames? Yeah, I got 87 in 2 frames. Yeah. So I kept doing that. But is that an accurate statement? I mean, and they won. They won.
No, it's pretty accurate. All I'm saying is, I went to have a good time. So
and he was a leader.
I'm going to get to that because this is what they asked of us, right?
Yeah.
So we're at the place, and they're like, all right, we're gonna bowl a little bit, and I'm thinking we're just gonna have fun and just
With Dave?
Never.
Have you ever done
the
anything
first thing
just
they
for fun?
say is, oh, we're gonna make it competitive. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna break you up into random teams, and we're gonna put you in whoever wins as a collective unit. As a team,
A lot of pressure.
as a team together, we'll win this. Blah blah.
Wait,
blah.
were you in teams?
Yeah, I was in my team, and they pre-selected it, so I had my team, which I guess on paper you'd be like, oh. Wow.
And on a business side, right, the way that we split the teams up was that, I don't know, it's just the way we split them up was we put people with individuals that typically you don't work with them day to day. There might be one person in the group that you do, but you might have the business operation with the youth development unit. You might have somebody from the senior citizens program with the transportation unit. So we
you loaded them up with all the bad bowlers.
No, they were.
I'm not even. Well,
they were actually good.
At first glance, that's probably what they thought.
Right, they were probably
but
like,
I listen. I'm a good soldier, so they told me, listen. You're going to be a team. As a team, you have to succeed. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put all my personal stuff aside, and I'm going to work to make sure that I encourage the people around me. Because, and I'll be honest, my team in the very beginning, including myself, we did not come off to a great start. It was pretty bad.
We were all pretty bad.
We're not muscle men, so we're not throwing fastballs
Did you have bumpers?
down. No. First of all, we're not all bad because he was throwing rockets that were not touching the lane.
I feel like it was probably illegal the way he was playing.
I'm telling you, he was doing a
good.
baseball fastball. He must have watched the Jeter show and he was just rocketing them. I don't know.
This was the people that were working there. They were like, he can't do that, Kenny. He can't do that. Someone go tell him.
I never saw a 14-pound ball fly across the air without touching the lane, but I saw it that day.
Touching the lane.
So so I'm just encouraging my team, and my team was a bad start, but we started kind of getting hot. We started hitting consistently, and all I was honestly trying to do was making sure that the other people on my team felt encouraged and they were feeling confident about what they were doing. And sure enough, and it worked. And they started getting hotter little by little. And I wasn't even focused on this man on the other side. I was just focused on my team because I was having a good time.
He was focused. He came in.
I started focusing when I started hearing the chimes. The loud chime, and he's like 4 or 5 lanes away from me.
Listen, the whiskey's
yelling across, yelling.
17 tacos in.
CV, sucking it up. CV in the gutter again, and doing all this extra talking.
You know the island boy? I'm like, you're a gutter boy.
Giving this guy tacos and whiskey is like rocket fuel for him.
But at the end of the day,
you won.
My team won. Everyone scored high, so everyone did well. Everyone was happy about themselves except for one person.
Why?
Dave was.
No, I was happy. I was
the
just
one guy.
The one A-Rod. You were
the one guy that hit 160 or 180 or whatever it was.
My statistics, just like Alex Rodriguez, were the best of the day.
So that's the problem with team sports is that if you win, you could always get singled out if you're not the guy.
Right.
So I was never a team sport guy.
Never. Right.
My team was fire.
But no, I mean it was a great time, which also is very fresh on my mind.
It was a good time. I enjoyed myself.
So the first half was a conversation. We hired a lady from California, and it was focused on diversity and inclusion. Today in 2022, no matter what industry you're in, business is just different, right? So we learned a lot, especially from a legal perspective, representing a local town, on how to handle certain individuals and certain groups of people, no matter the race, no matter the sex, no matter the gender, right? And sex and gender are two different things, as we learned about the other day. One is biological, and then one is basically chosen, pretty much, identity, yeah. So that was the first half of the day. And before we got started, if you remember back on the podcast, I had shared that one of our coworkers had passed away. So I had a nice plaque made, and I presented that to the team. So he kind of sat with us in remembrance of him. So it was off to a nice start. We ordered breakfast for the team. But these are the things that I think are very important to do in business, because a lot of people just go through the motions, especially with us. In local government, federal government, state agencies, a lot of the day-to-day is monotonous, and if you're not breaking it up with certain things throughout the year for the team, I think it's a downfall to the leadership.
How many events do you do like this?
So
sounds like fun.
My structure when it comes to personal and professional development for us is I meet monthly, like I've spoke about, with everybody on the team. That's a one-on-one conversation that happens every month. We don't do it in the summer months because the town operation is just too large. You can't really get everybody's schedule. And then we meet once a month as a staff for a full meeting. Right, that's meeting-based stuff, and then we do one in September, and that's a team development, event. And then right before the summer starts, we do another one. So we do them like that 2 times a year, but scattered throughout the year. We also we'll shut the building. We'll have a barbecue for the staff. We'll do little things like that because I do think it's important in an industry that we don't really have to do that because you have to show up regardless. We pay you a salary to show up, but it's our choice because we believe that everybody should have some fun while you're doing it. Yeah. So it was a really good turnout. And then also what we did for the first time was recognize everybody's years of service, which to my knowledge hadn't been done in the past. So we gave everybody some nice plaques. And again, it's nothing monetary wise, but it's something you can hang in your office. We have people who have been there 5 years, and then we have people who've been there 35 years.
You didn't give me a plaque for 10%?
10%.
You're like, hey, while you're doing all these plaques, can you throw one in there for 10%?
10% challenge.
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NoSnooze30. Again, that's NoSnooze30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Orgain is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Orgain. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the epi.
So yeah, man, I mean, that kind of, I guess, sparked, then when Mike and I were talking, like, hey, what are we going to talk about? I think there's certain things we can discuss in terms of business these days. Doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur on your own or in a small team or in a large team like I'm talking about.
So it's funny you talk about that because I was listening to one of my guys, PBD. My wife absolutely loves him. So he's whenever I stop in at the house because I'm working from home full time, he's always on the TV because that's all Dana listens to. Patch Bet David.
Oh yeah, PBD.
He's a billionaire now, I think. But he started
great voice, right?
Unbelievable. My man has that velvety, boisterous. It's everything I wish I had in a voice. But anyway, it's always on TV. So he was talking about how when he started his company and he was trying to operate lean, which is kind of my theme for 2023. I always have to have a theme, and I'm starting early this year, is do less as far as like committing to less and doing things more great. Basically the do less, but so like stay lean, like being very lean with the expenses and just trying to kind of ramp it up. So he was talking about when he started his company, his insurance company, and they were small, he used to invite everyone to his house for barbecues because it not only was cost effective, but also showed the people that he was going to be on their level or below. He was a partner with them and cooking for them. So he would make it a fact to always man the grill or man whatever type of thing that they were getting.
I like
that,
yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, I don't really cook that much anymore. But I guess if I had to, it would be for like the team or family or so that whole. I lost touch with the act of cooking for someone in lieu of being efficient, right?
Gotcha.
Like whenever people came to the house, I just order food. Whereas I think people appreciate when you take the time to make something
if it tastes good.
A, if it tastes good, and then B, if it doesn't have to be everything. My theory is if you get like one of your showstoppers, and then you could order everything else.
Yep.
But if people have that one showstopper that you're known for, it's like a chakoots.
I'll do a little chakoots or a steak.
Chakoots a nice one because it's pre-made, but then you kind of it's genius.
Right?
I was thinking about it the other day. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
You're good, you. What movie?
What movie is that? That's You Good You. That's Happy Gilmore.
It's close. Analyze that.
Oh,
with De Niro.
Damn.
So I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny you mentioned that because that's something I'm going to implement this year, and I want to do it often because it's going to be...
Can't do it too often, though.
Every day.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to have to try to get the schedule going. Definitely you can't do it in the winter because it can be cold out. But I would like to try to do... Last year, COVID canceled it, but we were going to do a team dinner at one of my spots in town that we do tell Mike sent you at.
So I think we need a little development here.
Last development dinner we did, I had to call my mom to pick me up because we had way too much tequila.
That was a lot of tequila.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And we had how many tacos? $400 worth of tacos?
Yeah,
500?
right. Yeah.
Did we break 500 on
Yes,
that?
we did. Yes, we did.
Good times.
Good times.
BT. I got to get you guys the La Taqueria. It's my spot.
I got to try that, but I don't think it's as good as
I think it's better.
As Bar Taco.
What'd you think? But you think better than Bar Taco?
No.
So another thing I'll mention, best practices. Something I also think about a lot is because you're in local government and you're talking about giving back to the community. I challenge everyone to try to be.
I see you.
What?
I feel like. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
but
not at all.
I see that, and it has nothing to do with me. This is something that Mike has done on his own through his business. I love what you're doing in your community. You grew up in that community of Greenwich, Connecticut. You're contributing, obviously, on a massive business scale in that community, but now also the things that you're choosing to do with time that you don't even have. I think it's a beautiful thing. I see you at camps. I see you at Boys and Girls Club. You've done a lot for the community, man.
I appreciate that. So I'm my own little politician that's not affiliated with anyone. Myself.
I'm a Mike-tician.
So my thought is, if you have the choice to go to, and I know the people that own these businesses might be local, but if you have the option and you're going to have a coffee, why not go to the local coffee shop and put your money back into the community that is serving you? Because in the long term, in the long run, by not outsourcing it to like an Amazon or another, you're contributing to those people in the community, spending more money within the community, and then building out your property value, building out the ties, the fabric of why you joined it.
Yes.
I think a lot of people lose sight of like, I'm going to save 50 cents versus go support my neighbor,
right,
who every time we have a drive donates.
Yes.
People are very short-sighted, and me included. I get into days where I'm like, F it, I'm going to Dunkin', and then I immediately have this regret of like, I wasted calories on this crap.
Yeah.
No. And Dunkin', I'm never getting a sponsorship from you. So this is me drawing a line in the sand. I will not have Dunkin' when given the option.
Listen, I told you from the jump. Let me be clear.
Or Starbucks.
Dunkin', I'm not taking your sponsorship. Starbucks all day.
Starbucks, I'm not taking it. But
no, very good point, though.
So I'm working with this local logo spot that does embroidery and stuff. And I know I was an advocate in the beginning for outsourcing everything, go for the websites and whatnot. And then as I'm there and realizing there's all this hidden value to like working in the community. You know, every time I go in, I talk to my girl Gina. She gives me the scoop on what's going on in the neighborhood. You know, did you know this business is coming in? Did you know that's going on over there? If you need anything, just stop in. Have you tried this place? Take Dana there. So there's all this stuff that you can't quantify that if you looked at, you're like, oh yeah, it's much easier to hit a button and get something produced versus stopping in, looking through fabrics, talking to them. But I'm starting to realize the intangibles are more valuable long-term versus the short-term fix of outsourcing.
Right.
So for me, for best practices, I want to do more of that. When given the opportunity to support a local business, whether that's furniture, clothing, whatever it is, I want to stop and be like, all right, well, it would be easiest to order my supplements online, but I have GNC of Greenwich where I love going in and talking to the guys and I want to support them. And who knows, maybe ultimately they will go out of business because Amazon took over. Mm-hmm. But in the short term, at least I can do my part.
Right.
Maybe it's a stupid, a naive approach, but
no, it's not. It makes perfect sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Really, if you don't understand that message, basically what he's saying is, why would you buy a Nike hoodie when you can buy a No Snooze hoodie? It doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Like, subscribe, NoSnoozeShop.com.
No, it's a very good point.
Do you ever think about that?
I'm a huge advocate.
And I get crap for it because a lot of people would be like, why don't you go into Stanford and do this and do that? And I'm like, I could. Like, I like exploring. But when I'm going to go and spend a good amount of money, I want to give back to the people that have been supportive of me. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm fortunate because I do this every day.
Yeah, you're
right.
You're a different caliber.
No, but just as a community resource, that's what we do professionally. We do it obviously within the scope of local government, but what you're speaking on is basically what we do. Yeah. And for us, like why, and even town services, right? Why would you send your child to a private swimming lesson that costs X amount of dollars when you can do it at the local Boys and Girls Club, whatever it is. You know
I'm definitely a hypocrite in some scenarios because I would definitely outsource that.
But you get what I'm saying, though? Like, because that's really what builds relationships, and especially that's generational relationships. You know, your daughter going to the same place that you went to growing up, all that.
Boys and Girls Club was that for us growing up. And now that Livy's getting old enough, Dana is the head of philanthropy for Mike Pirelli Greenwich Real Estate. Tell Mike sent you. Step it up, Dane. You've been slacking with this baby. But she organized the volunteer and sponsorship for the mud run for the Boys and Girls Club. So we were both like, it's raining, but we both said, all right, let's go. Let's bring the kids. Let's make a day of it. It was great. We had a blast. I think they really appreciated it. And it just makes you think it wasn't that much effort. And the way you give back, it's not the people that donate 10 grand to things. Yes, that helps, but it's the people that are there day in and day out. Correct. And, they ask me something, I'm like, I do this for the marketing, or I would change that. And it's just, as I'm getting older and you have less time, it's even more important to volunteer and give your time.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Beautiful. Something that I was thinking about as we were talking about this topic is the concept in 2022 especially, right? Because everybody these days has a voice. I mean, we got the phones, you got the internet,
the voice,
you got the podcast, you got the voice in the background. So the concept that I was thinking of is execution over emotion. So as a business leader, right, it's tough. It's very tough because as a business leader, I'm speaking in terms of even my team, the patrons that we serve. There's a lot of personalities that we have to manage and a lot of different, whether it's a parent, whether it's a coworker, a part-time staff, a volunteer staff, a full-time staff member, a board member. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's so many different characteristics, so many different people you're dealing with day to day, and you cannot get caught up in the emotions of business. And it's something that I've had to really dial back on, one, because of the, I guess, political position that I'm in. But I don't pay mind. Obviously, I show empathy when necessary, but I don't pay mind to certain individuals when I can tell that they're acting in an emotional state. Right, I'm there to execute, so I have to get a job done, and it's I think a really big lesson, especially for me personally, because I used to get so caught up in the individual that was upset at the decision that I made. Right, at the end of the day, you cannot please everybody. Of course, you want to try to please the majority, and it'd be great in a perfect world to please everybody. But for me, I base my business off of fairness, off of integrity, off of honor, and doing the right thing. And as long as I'm doing that, I don't get caught up in the emotions. You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
And even on a real estate level, right? Like for you, I'm sure that's
tough.
That's huge because you
half
have
the
to
battle.
Right.
On every front, for your client, for the buyer, for the seller, for yourself. Just staying like level headed and be like, all right, so what's the next step? And
Right.
here are the details. This is what it is. The other thing about best practices I thought about when you texted me was I listen to a lot of real estate specific stuff. I've narrowed in my do less. I've narrowed in a couple channels I listen to, and everything else I don't anymore. I used to just hop around whatever interests me. Now it's like Alex Hormozy, Tom Ferry, who's a trainer for real estate people. There's like 3 or 4. And this one guy who was getting interviewed is in the city. I think he did like $1 billion worth of sales last year or something. He's got a big team, so a little different of an approach. But his theory is he wants to create lifetime clients, and which makes me think that he also is trying to create lifetime employees and partners. So he's like, listen, when you think about things, if you're thinking on a lifetime approach to a client or an employee or a partner, your mindset's very different than someone who's transactional, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, if, take, for example, me and Dave, right? Best friend. He's a lifetime client, a lifetime friend, lifetime partner. So if he calls me, I'm answering the call and I'm going to help any way I can, right? Mm-hmm. Versus if you just met someone and you're treating them as just a transactional client, they call you and they want something, you're less likely to bend over backward and say, oh, yeah, I have an extra sign you could use in the car. Like, I'll drop it off later today, right? That's a very a step that you would wait a lot of the time versus just treating everyone as a lifetime client. Right. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And he talks about that with your employees and your partners. He's like, if you have a business partner and in your eyes, you're forever going to be with them, then your approach to how you work with them is going to be completely different than, all right, maybe we have a year and then we're going to go our separate ways. Right. So I started to think through that and think about, with the partners that I work with and a lot of things, I think it's very important to be on the same page and like, what do you want long-term, right? Like, where do you see this going? How can I help you get there? How can we both work towards this goal so that we're both fulfilled in the process and there's more of a likelihood that we're going to be aligned moving forward? And you got to readjust that, but having those meetings and really being like transparent, like, listen, I know this is the brand, but where do you fit within the brand? Where do you see where you're going within the brand? Where do you see your personal brand going? And if ultimately that personal brand overtakes this and your partnership, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, if we're both at that level, we're both happy anyway and we can figure it out. So I was like, oh, it's really good. Like lifetime clients, like just being, he's like, if you can think this one way, it'll change everything. When someone thinks I need X, you're the first person they call. You're their resource. You're the number one in their phone book. You're not only a good friend, but a good client, a good everything, right? You're valuable. So I was like, that's pretty good.
Let me ask you this question.
It's very simple.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Who's the one guy that if you need a cigar, you're coming to? CV, can you get the camera on?
David.
Thank you. So I've accomplished the goal.
But there's a level of it's way harder to do, right? Like the fact, and I'm going to give you kudos here. Whenever you go to an event, what do? You bring a box of cigars, and you're always very generous with your cigars, right? Yes. So your actions cost you money, more of an effort to do it. You enjoy it, but I know you've given some good cigars to people that you're like, I don't know if I'd give you a cigar.
Mike always asks me. The first thing he asked me, he's like, Dave, how much is a cigar?
Yeah, because I
I'm
feel
like,
bad.
Mike, relax. I get it. It's a $30 smoke, but enjoy it.
Yeah, he hit you
Enjoy
with that. It's $30.
Enjoy it. But honestly, I'm a smart shopper, right? Shout out Cigar Page. So
Yeah.
you're getting $30 smokes for about 16.
It's a good point. If you're gonna be the generous type and you're gonna do this approach, you have to be more savvy because
Right.
you can't go broke.
Right.
So if you're gonna be the one that's sending bottles of wine to people at dinner, you got to get a relationship with that restaurant or
Buying
that
in
wine.
bulk. Right. No, I knew we were going to do this. This always happens. But next up on my list is nurturing staff relationships. Kind of like what I was talking about, obviously, with the professional development, but that's kind of a one-time thing or a two-time thing throughout the year where you have those big events. But actually taking time to nurture your staff. And this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you pay somebody $100,000 a year. It doesn't matter if you pay them a contract that just says, you're volunteering your time because you're fresh out of prison, right? We have both of those scales. It's about people and individuals feeling and understanding that the leadership that's above them has their best intention. That's how you get people to perform at a high level. It's been very difficult to be in the industry that I'm in municipal government, which is archaic. I'm sorry, but we are. Our process, our procedures is extremely archaic. So we have to nurture the people that we have and the relationships and also be understanding of these same individuals who have been there for 35 years and also think extremely archaic, right? Like this is now 2022. So yes, we're making the adjustments with technology and we have all these advancements moving forward, but we have to take time every single day, every single month, every week, it doesn't matter, to nurture the people that you work with on a daily basis. So I knew we were going to hit that. What about numbers, man? Like knowing your numbers, right? Like I feel like a lot of people in business, you know your business, but do you really know the numbers behind the business? Do you understand everything that it takes to run the business, right? Like I sit in a seat now to where, I do have access to a couple $1 million of a budget, but I can tell you my numbers from start to finish. Different now, year 3 of this job versus year 1, because year 1, my focus wasn't really my numbers. And I remember when, our town controller asked about our budget process, I was like, I don't really have one. And then it occurred to me, like, listen, as deputy commissioner, your role is day-to-day operations. So then I became obsessed with my numbers, right? I know that my salary payrolls are $70,000 every 2 weeks. I know that my part-time budgets in the summertime are $110,000 a week. Like I understand that my program activities line, all these different items, but it made an astronomical difference in the growth of my business experience when I took time to learn my numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
The term getting it down to a science is how everything should filter. Like everything should be down to a science. Because if it's down to a science, then you have something that you can tweak.
Yep.
If you don't have anything to tweak, then you're just kind of shooting in the wind, which I've been guilty of for a while. But now I'm finally, I think, dialing in on like what's the process, what makes the most sense. A little tidbit, like for 2023, I'm going to make a big push on condos. We've talked about it in the past. I want to get it to a point where I have a system of, all right, it takes this many mailers in a condo complex to get this many listings. So then if I know that, then I can confidently make the investment to double the business, triple the business, whatever it is, because it doesn't always work one-to-one. But if in theory, you know that if you do one building this long, you're going to get one, then if I expand it to 5 buildings, I can, in theory, increase the business.
Right.
But if you don't do any of that stuff, you don't track anything, then it's a lot of like, oh, let me try this, let me try that. And then when something's works, like I love my mother, but she'll make a meal. I'll be like, it's fucking good. Do that again. Wherever you do. I don't remember what I did. And then you're like, oh man, it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel with business. It's like if you don't know what you did and you're successful, it's almost worse as being unsuccessful and knowing what you did.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
That's very good. Yeah.
Because then you can't replicate it.
Yeah.
So it's like, and in a business with sales, I've been diving into the sales game a lot more again, just to get back to the basics. It's all about knowing and watching what you did. It's like sports. Like if you don't know why this play was successful, if you don't know what you did or what you need to improve, then you're not going to progress. Like there's no, You're
Need
just going to
data.
kind of stay. And you could get by off of raw talent and like
Mhm.
you just have savvy and you have these certain skills. But if you want to get to the next level, you need the fundamentals of a jump shot. You need the fundamentals of a layup. Like you need certain things to be consistent.
Beautiful. I'll jump on that. Those little things like a layup, like a jump shot, right? In business, little things matter. That's something that I'm sure have been talked about for centuries, but I think in 2022, it's even more prevalent because there's so much competition. So I think little things in your preparation need to be on point. Little things in your negotiation tactics need to be on point. There's a small example of little things that I'll share, but Michael liked this because it's also real estate based. It had to do with an assessment that was being done on a property, and then also an insurance claim that was being done on the property. So some assessments that are made, I mean, I'm sure you know, in real estate, the assessors that come, they typically will have their comps of the area, right? But in a folder, I had all my comps ready to go. I didn't push it on them, but I had it and I was walking around with it, right? Just in case, because I knew, let's call it $100,000 of, and the numbers are much bigger, but I'll try to make it simple. On this insurance claim and this assessment, I basically was requesting $100,000. Let's just call it that, right? Because there was damage that was done that needed to be fixed. So we'll call it $100,000. And basically what ends up happening is I had that folder with the comps, but I also had a folder with pricing for the damage that needed to be replaced, right? Because I just didn't want to leave anything up in the air. And then I was very specific. And I said, listen, I am requesting $100,000, because now I put it in their head. And you have to be fair if you're going in with a negotiation, right? Because if I were to come in at $300,000 and they already know that this isn't even, you know,
it's a ballpark,
right? It's not even in the ballpark. Now you kind of look stupid. So, you know, I came in prepared. I came in with confidence, and then I handed it over to them. I said, listen, I'm sure you guys have this already. I'm actually going to go take off. I'm going to go get some coffee. I didn't ask, do you want coffee? I asked, how do you take your coffee, right? Because what I was implying to them is I didn't want to leave it up in the air for negotiation for them to be like, oh, you know, I don't want something, or I don't want coffee. I don't want that. 95% of people in the world, I mean, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, will take a free cup of coffee if they know that you're going to bring it to them, right? Yeah. So just in terms of negotiation, there's things that you can be doing to build little rapport along the way before you end up hitting the sale, right? And I knew in my head that I wanted the $100,000, but I was taking no less than 85. I ended up getting 96, right, off of the deal. So it was a good experience that I just happened last week. I was able to think back to it, but little things matter.
You're doing a real estate deal. We got to be careful with appraisers because we can't, you know, give them coffee and all that stuff, you know.
But it depends how you do
you
it,
can
right?
Be pleasant, though.
That's what I'm saying. And it depends how you do it. Like if I'm going to Starbucks right down the road, I mean, you know, I'm not buying your business, but I'm buying your business. You know what I mean?
Did you get it from Flexus?
No, I should have done that.
Lexus. That would have been a full circle.
That's embarrassing.
So I went down to Lexus. I got a cup of coffee.
If I were to ask you best business advice, what would you say?
Simple scales. Simple scales. Fancy fails. It's the best thing I've heard since I started. And it's been one of the biggest changes in my approach to things. Mailers, right? I would spend all this time designing this beautiful mailer, like forever. I'd redo it. I'd be like, it doesn't look right, this and that. And then I started just sending out pieces of paper with a portion of it highlighted. And I would say, F it, it's going out. And I got more business from that than I ever did with all these expensive mailers. And that's just one element. I mean, there's a million things that apply to that. Yeah. Workouts, working out. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a business thing, but when you're like, all right, I'm just going to bench today and do pull-ups, whatever it is, at least you did it. Right. Versus like, oh my God, I got to do all this stuff. I got to like pull the thing out. I got to have one thing here. And
it's real estate in your brain that you waste, right? You waste a lot of real estate by just thinking.
Cooking.
Instead of doing, I
mean, when I'm like, just throw salmon in and then whatever's, just throw it on. I cooked salmon to death last night. This stuff was basically beef jerky, salmon jerky.
Salmon jerky. That sounds disgusting.
But I said, you know what? I have rice. I have some salmon. I don't have time. Let me throw it in one hand. Bang, bang, bang. I wolfed it down. I threw some sugar-free teriyaki on that bad boy. And I was like, it's dinner.
Did it have seed oil in it though?
It probably did.
we had a conversation off air where we were talking about like really, this is so random, but what causes a lot of cancers these days and inflammation. I'm reading a study out of the University of Michigan that basically is highlighting seed oils. And for me with Crohn's disease, seed oil is just, literally the worst thing. And for most people, because you can't see it. So you think you're spraying like, Pam butter spray on there. But if you look on the back and you see some seed oils, it's probably not the best thing to utilize.
No bueno.
But no, great advice.
What's yours?
Oh, that's a good question because I didn't even.
You asked it, so
I know,
like,
but I said ask.
You, it's probably good.
Ask Mike best business advice. I didn't have an answer for it.
Speed kills.
I guess I would say in my industry, and I'll speak, I guess, from a leadership perspective because it's what I deal with most day to day. I think that people perform better when it's somewhat their idea to do something versus being told what to do. I can walk you down a path of a certain lane, right? If we need a new initiative created, I could tell you what type of initiative needs to be created, but I'm not going to tell you the specific day, the event, what type of target market we're looking for. I'm not going to do that because I know that once you take ownership of that event, program, service, sales goal, whatever it is, you're much more likely to fully dive in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you ever run into like you try that and then they just don't do it? And then you're like,
what do you mean?
Like you give someone an initiative, but they don't have enough structure to figure out what they need to
do. Well,
do.
then I'll walk them through that whole process.
Or they're
Absolutely.
off mark, like with what you had envisioned.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a very good question.
Yeah.
So you have to be strategic in the leadership lane of walking them down the lane that you want them to be in.
Yeah.
Right. Because if I just leave it up in the air, the majority of the time you're probably going to come up short. I'll still be very clear with my expectation of the overall outcome of what we're looking for, but I really try not to tell you exactly what to do along the way. Logistics, people own logistics, right? People, if I were to tell, a supervisor, listen, hire 5 staff members for this event versus, here's Tony, Claudio, Sally, Stacy, and these aren't people that you chose, but like a small thing like that really goes a long way for them. And then if they're just not, if at the end of the event, what we do or program or service or in these meetings one-on-one, I have that conversation one-on-one. If it didn't meet expectations, right?
See,
because
I
try to be
with
clear.
Control. So like I struggle with giving someone the control to hire those people because if it hits the fan, it's me.
Ironically,
I struggle with that.
Ironically, I do too. And I have learned that why did you make that
No,
face?
I'm listening.
I have learned that it's still more beneficial to allow somebody to do it and not achieve what your personal expectation is. But you've allowed them to explore, to create, and if they screw it up, you have the conversation. You give them another opportunity. If they screw it up again, now they no longer get that opportunity.
See, I struggle with it because a lot of times it's in like the scenario of like I need to send out marketing. And if you
screw that up,
then I'm effed.
Right.
Because then you're right.
Right.
So there's not a lot of. I think I need a slower upswing with someone, but that's what I struggle with because I'm like opportunities don't come on that often. So if I got it, I got to hit out of the park.
Right. But
So
also, like anything in life, right? Like I would say you need to be careful with the scale of what you're giving somebody. But think about short-term versus long-term, right? Like if you were to really take somebody and really teach them the way that you wanted things done, yes, it's a significant amount of time that needs to go into this employee or partner or whatever it is. But long-term, once they fully understand how Mike Pirelli Greenwich Real Estate needs to run, that business is now you're able to take yourself away from the business in a certain aspect because you can be almost duplicated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My approach now is trying to create like the support for it where there's certain things that I'll never give up. Like I have to be client facing. I have to be the one showing the properties, but like putting the listing into the, there should be a system where someone could do it. And then I'll just check, but that's time, like you said. So it's part of it.
I think that's
I like it.
Really, really all I got. I have a couple small things on.
So when are we going bowling? That's the real question.
Should we do that?
I would go bowling. I haven't gone bowling in years,
dude. I was just rifling these things.
The problem, the bowling place was it good food?
first of all, if I were to show you a video of what this bowling place looked like,
Is it Bolero? What's it called?
Yeah, was it
I don't know. There's
Bolero White Plains? Bowmore Lanes.
Yeah. Oh,
But,
I think I've heard.
Dude, they redid it. I'm just gonna show you.
Why do I have a feeling that every time you go to like a bowling place that they never have lanes open? Is that just a?
No, we rented the whole. You know, when you got big money,
wow,
you rent the
big
whole
time.
thing. Look, Mike. So look at the bar.
Yeah, that's pretty legit. But you didn't answer my question.
Right.
Was the food good?
The steak was it was shaky steak.
You got steak?
Yeah. What was tacos?
Wow,
So
what an event!
steak tacos, chicken tacos.
What'd you think, CV? Give me an honest. Was the food
Beans
good?
and rice and
Like, was it
You know,
enjoyable?
it wasn't bar taco. It was
Right.
absolutely enjoyable.
Okay,
it
then
was
that's all I'm
delicious.
caring
I mean,
about.
it was fun.
Because I hate you go to a place and you get like roller skate pizza at the
Yeah,
place and you're like, this
yeah.
ruins everything.
No, it wasn't that. You could. It
was
was
decent.
it was a step up.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
curious.
like
So let me ask you this, CV. You know, real quick before we close out. So CV runs one of the biggest operations that we do have as a leader. So the fact that you took part in that development, what was your perspective on it? And like what was your experience there?
You talking about the bowling?
No, just
whole day?
you know, just development and how, I guess, is it helpful for you? Because CV manages his own team, right? So do you think that what we did with you guys will ultimately help you manage your team, I guess?
I think the idea was great. I think the training for me specifically could have been a little bit more in depth for me. I think the majority of people definitely benefited from it. I think I'm much more I don't want to say elemental for me, but I've been experiencing a lot of that way before most people. So I kind of needed another level. As far as the team building portion, I think it was I think that's always the greatest. I think it's always great to step out, do something fun, and do it together. I love, and I do this even with our crews, I love when you guys mix up the teams and it's random people. Yes, do I want to hang out with the ones that I know? Yes, but at the end of the day, when you put me with random people, I think it's even better time because it's people you normally don't hang out with,
Right.
and that does cultivate a lot of positive, feelings, and you really do build. So overall, I think it was a success. I loved it.
Good.
And the more you do those, the better it is, I think, because you look forward to them eventually,
Yeah.
You got to watch Supermensch. It's a documentary, and it's about this guy. He's a record producer or something. I forget his name. David Foster, one of like the biggest record.
David. He's one of the biggest guys in the world, David.
Yeah, I probably butchered it, but he literally throws events, and his goal is to mix up his network so
Gotcha.
that people connect.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a great doc.
That's
really
awesome.
good.
Wow, that sounds real good, actually. I like it. I got to check it out. And I'm Documentary Dave, so I'll be tuning in.
A Davey
So this will bring us to my favorite section, Dave's Dime of the Week.
dimes. Like, subscribe.
Did you see shout out? Go ahead, shout him out.
East Coast Noms.
Feast Coast Noms? Feast Coast Noms.
I forget his that's
John.
John. What's his last name?
Drosos.
Drosos.
Damn.
Me and John Drosos
I was gonna say,
go
John.
back to Ham Ave. We used to play one-on-one basketball every recess. And he was younger, so I used to give him the business. But then he got much better than me and we stopped playing.
Well, so put the camera on me.
Good dude.
Shout out John Drosos. Yes, I know your name, but I used to bust your ass in basketball.
Why you gotta get aggressive with it? Why you gotta get aggressive with us?
I'm messing with him.
But
he was a great point guard.
He's got a great food brand also.
Yes, yeah.
You follow Feast Coast Noms?
I don't follow Tell him Mike
Wow.
sent you. I actually follow
Feast Coast
Noms.
10K. I don't know if you saw that.
Did you achieve? Woo!
10K.
That's big. That's killer.
Get that hand out of here. Don't small man me.
Don't small
I'll
man.
put you in a headlock.
Just because we're 25K doesn't
No,
mean
my
that-
hands are cozy because it's cold out here.
No, but so the dimes, right? The reason why we're shouting out John is an old episode, I think, right? It was like episode like
There's someone right now trying to take a
48.
note of Dave's Dime of the Week,
I
and
know,
we're just
I
on
know.
like this crazy tangent.
this is what we do. This is
Sorry.
No Snooze, right?
Go ahead.
No, so John had posted like one of the dimes from back then. I'm like, wow, man, at least one person is listening.
I
That
was watching
beautiful.
him, and I'm like,
Right?
he's shouting out no. I'm like, I know those guys. Oh, that's us.
Oh, that's us. I know those guys. All right. You have to want to serve the people well. That has to be one of your core drivers in business. If you want to be rich, don't work for money. Fire.
It's a good one. I thought you were gonna say if you don't want to be rich,
Don't work for Mike? Oh.
Don't.
I didn't know where you're going.
I go with the rhyme. I thought you were gonna rhyme.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be a.
No, but I think it's so important, man. Obviously, you're like we spoke about on this episode. The focus needs to not be on the money, but more of the people that you're serving, and and the relationships that you're working with day to day. And again, it doesn't matter if you're a team of 2, 1, or a team of 52. You know, the same principles apply, because if you are a team of 1, you're most likely selling something, or providing a service to somebody.
People.
Right.
And if you haven't already, subscribe.
Check us out.
Check out NoSnoozePodcast.com. Is there a filter on this TV? Because I always feel like we look skinnier on this.
No, it's just because I don't think you've worked out in the past, since you've achieved the goal. But
it's false. I don't know if you saw the bench. Looks pretty strong.
Did you? How much you got on there now?
That was about 225.
225? Okay, not for nothing. I'm not being funny.
He's being funny.
No, I'm not. You're gonna laugh though.
Well,
you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, small man."
All right, listen.
I literally did. Okay, but I kind of didn't know what to do today in the gym, so I did what was called a Warrior 500. I made it up. I don't know. I like to think I'm a warrior. I took 225 pounds. I benched it 100 times. No, not in one shot. Though.
Couldn't you said this before?
Not in one shot. Benching? Not in one shot. Right. So that took me like 12 minutes, which was pretty good timing. But then I also squatted for 100 reps. I deadlift for 100 reps.
We'll see you next time.
I did push-ups and some pulleys. But yeah, man, no, that 215 bench looked pretty good on you. Guys.
I might have to do a weight loss competition.
Yeah. Listen, man, thank you guys for tuning in. We're very grateful for the one listener, John Trosos.
Shout out, John.
You've been there.
Oh, wait. We got also Laura Palmer.
We got two. Beautiful, guys. Thank you.
Two.
No, man, this is a fun thing, and we want to keep it coming, so the content will continue. Until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Yo, my suit is really tight.
It's pretty tight. Well, you're flapping. We need new chairs.
That's another Effie in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.